I had to put you on my feed because I never researched you or anything about kidneys on YouTube. And bam, there you was one day. And I can tell by watching your video, you care. See, that's what's wrong with American doctors. It's hard to find one that cares about their patients.
In this video, there are 5 lies doctors are still telling kidney patients. Lies that will prevent any possible improvement in kidney function. Spoiler alert! If you're still falling for these myths, your kidneys are at serious risk. Catherine here, I'm a doctor of natural medicine, and since I began working with some of you, my incredible YouTube viewers, as patients, I've seen truly amazing success stories. But let me be clear, those successes aren't about me. They are your successes. They are the result of your hard work, your dedication, and your decision to take control of your kidney health. However, for many patients, the journey to a better kidney health didn't begin with learning new treatments or ideas. No, it began with unlearning the outdated and sometimes outright wrong information they've been told about their diet, lifestyle, and treatment options. There are 5 major pieces of misinformation, 5 lies that I want to expose and tear down for you today. There is a supplement in particular that's so controversial even doctors are scared to recommend it. Yet, it could be a literal lifesaver for so many kidney patients. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, let's start with number 5. The lie, there is no hope of improving. This is a devastating myth that far too many CKD patients hear from their doctors. The idea that chronic kidney disease only goes one way, that it's a slow, inevitable march toward dialysis. But is this just your doctor's way of saying, I can't be bothered to stay updated on new treatments, so I'll just doom you to dialysis? Or is there something more to it? Let's unpack this. First, let me tell you why I will always call this a lie. It's because of my own experiences working with CKD patients, and I've personally worked with patients whose GFR was as low as 9. Let me repeat that. 9. These are patients who should have been on dialysis for years according to the rule book. But guess what? They are not. They are still dialysis free today. How? Because they've embraced a comprehensive holistic treatment plan. One that includes a proper renal diet and targeted medical treatments. And yet, what would most doctors tell a patient with a GFR of 9? They'd say, it's time to start dialysis. For those who don't know, a GFR below 15 stage 5 CKD is usually when patients are told they need dialysis. So when I started working with a patient who had a GFR of 9, I knew we were facing a tough battle. However, once I started her on a well-designed renal diet and once she started receiving the proper medical treatment, her GFR jumped from 9 to 18. That's right, her kidney function doubled. Yes, her doctor will have to cancel that "Welcome to dialysis" pamphlet order now. But guys, I don't think it's entirely a doctor's fault when no hope is given and when patients are told the only treatment for CKD is dialysis. Why am I telling you this? Because today in the US, even prescribing the most basic treatment feels like trying to smuggle secrets out of the Pentagon. Many patients live their lives without access to the most basic forms of healthcare. And who do we have to thank for this? Insurance companies, of course, the overlords of medical misery. So yeah, it's not entirely your doctor's fault. I mean, the system's so broken, some doctors spend more time decoding insurance policies than decoding their patients' symptoms these days. Anyway, I'm not going to full rant mode about insurance companies right now, mainly because I covered that dumpster fire of a topic in my recent video. It's up here if you missed it. Trust me, it's cathartic. But here's the real tragedy. So many doctors don't even have the tools or the time to help patients improve anymore. Instead, they've been downgraded to professional delivers of bad news. Sorry ma'am, your kidneys are shot. Dialysis is the only answer. Rinse, repeat, bill the insurance. It's the equivalent of putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. And this is a shame, guys, because remember, it's not just me telling you that CKD patients can still improve even in stage 5. It's medical literature as well. So figure this, we live in a time where you could actually receive treatment in order to stop or reverse the decline of your kidney function, but no one seems to know how to deliver it. And in some cases, they don't even have the competence to try. And that's not even the worst part. Because in the US, 1 in 7 adults is estimated to have CKD. Let me repeat that, guys. If you see 7 people on the streets, one of them has CKD. And they all will receive the same bad news from their doctors at some point. How messed up is that? It's 20-25 people. Telling patients to give up hope should be a crime punishable by making the culprit personally fill out all the paperwork for every denied insurance claim in the country. Okay, moving on. Let's now talk about the real fallout of this whole "you can't improve" mindset. Number 4, the forbidden supplement with huge kidney protecting properties. Ah yes, the forbidden supplement, because let's face it, the scariest thing in modern medicine isn't a deadly disease. It's something that might actually help patients cheaply. Just imagine the horror. Let me tell you a story. There was this patient, not the same patient, this is another one, that was literally walking on eggshells to talk to their doctor. Why? Because their serum calcium was a bit low and their serum phosphate was a bit too high. Remember these two minerals, alright? Calcium and phosphate. Because having low calcium and high phosphate in CKD patients is as common as cat videos on the internet. However, we actually have a solution for this issue. Calcium carbonate. Now, calcium carbonate is a real-life saver. Phosphorus, that sneaky little mineral we get from animal foods and additives, is supposed to be cleared by your kidneys. But when phosphorus starts piling up like junk mail, it triggers a cascade of disasters: vascular calcification, thyroid problems, bone issues. In other words, your body starts turning into a statue while you're still awake. Fun, right? And oh, let's not forget the itchy skin. Phosphorus doesn't stop there though. Oh no. It also speeds up kidney function decline. And the way to fight this is by adding a supplement of calcium. So yeah, you may understand why this patient was worried about their calcium intake, and all they were asking for was calcium carbonate, an OTC supplement, a common supplement anyone can buy. But here is where it gets juicy. This patient of mine timidly told their doctor they wanted to take calcium carbonate, and the doctor, full on freak out mode: "No, that's dangerous. It's heavy on the kidneys." And guys, the way this patient was able to, obey this doctor's order and still get enough calcium will shock you. By the way, has your doctor ever forbidden you from taking a supplement that you considered necessary? What is your experience? Let me know. Let's talk about in the comment section. So question, how can you take calcium if your doctor forbids supplements? Well, eggs, of course. Many people discard the yolks and eat the whites when they eat eggs. Some discard the whites and eat the yolks. What this patient did, however, was discarding both the yolks and the whites and eat the shells. Because of course, the shell is mostly calcium, and by eating that, she wasn't even contravening her doctor's order. Genius! And I even had the chance to watch her levels improve with this simple trick. I imagine that doctor furiously writing in the chart, patient overcame my advice by literal shell consumption. Anyway, the takeaway from this story is not that you need, to outsmart your doctor at every turn or start turning your kitchen into a DIY pharmacy. But this story proves that when it comes to your health, knowledge is power. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Dig deeper and find answers, because when your health is on the line, you don't just walk on eggshells. You crack them open and eat the shell. Literally. Okay guys, so we have just seen two of the biggest lies many doctors still believe in today when it comes to the treatment for CKD. Up next, number 3, let's talk about one of the most consequential lies that will absolutely put your health in danger, and that's being punished by Big Pharma nonetheless. Number 3, only medications can protect the kidneys. The diet is obsolete. So let's talk about one of the most egregious mistakes even some nephrologists make when approaching the treatment for CKD. Yes, the number 3 for today is one of the main reasons why many patients are not able to improve. Actually, this is not just a simple medical error. In fact, medical errors are a fairly common event. It's like when, for example, you see your doctor for fatigue and weight loss and they decide to treat you for, wait for it, erectile dysfunction, instead causing you permanent damage. Yeah. That happened. The patient received a $412 million compensation. Another case of medical malpractice, no compensation here, happened in 2024 when a surgeon removed a patient's liver instead of their spleen. I mean, the liver and the spleen, I get the mistake. They look very similar, don't they? Anyway, what I'm going to talk about next is even worse than that. This is a completely wrong mindset that's rooted in the system. It's the wrong way of thinking about the problem. Now, if you'd ask me, what's the first line treatment for CKD? My answer will be simple, the renal diet, because it's the only treatment that works in all the stages, because it's the most effective treatment we have. But if you'd ask the same questions to most nephrologists, they would answer something like RAS blockade or some other blood pressure pills. Of course, their answer is not wrong by any means, but what I consider wrong is the idea of considering a renal diet just a way to reduce sodium and potassium intake. Have you ever heard doctors tell you this? That you need medications to protect your kidneys and to follow a diet to reduce potassium and sodium intake? Yeah. It's like some doctors learn the renal diet from a 2-sentence memo. Just tell patients to skip salt and bananas. Done. Meanwhile, your GFR is in free fall. Because guys, there is a lot more a renal diet can do for you. Says science. A renal diet can be used not just to improve kidney function and avoid dialysis, but also to fight metabolic acidosis, lower phosphate levels, decrease oxidative stress, fight diabetes, reduce high blood pressure, and reduce proteinuria. I mean, how many pills would you have to take per day to achieve all that? And what will the cost be in terms of renal toxicity? Okay guys, my point here is that while certain medications are an essential part of the treatment for kidney disease, patients do not improve with medications alone, but they may improve if they are started on a renal diet. And the fact that even some nephrologists will deny this is really messed up. If you think about it, I mean, even the best medications, Farxiga and all that stuff that only rich people will be able to get, will never be able to improve your kidney function. No. Actually, if you are started on Farxiga, you must expect an initial dip in your kidney function. This is a very common side effect of this and other medications, and it's part of the reason why doctors are not supposed to prescribe, for example, Farxiga to type 2 diabetes. Patients with a GFR below 45, So let's think about this for a second. They tell you that your only hope in order to protect the kidneys are these new, more effective medications. However, most people can't afford them, or the insurances won't pay for them. And even if they could get them, these medications would only help patients that are diagnosed in time, and they will still have to expect their kidney function to get worse before it gets better. But of course, when an early stage CKD patient is started on a renal diet, what they are most likely going to see is an improvement in their kidney function. Can anyone please explain me why a treatment that some doctors consider obsolete, the renal diet, can actually get patients to improve? Okay guys, time for our number 2. We talk about a mistake even nephrologists make. Now, let's talk about a mistake some renal dietitians make. A mistake I myself used to make in the past as well. They say the renal diet is outdated, and I don't think that's the truth. However, do you know what's outdated about the renal diet? Counting calories. Now, counting calories is in the rule book for CKD treatment today, but I think it's time we start to look past that. But not because it's a wrong thing to do per se, just because it's too complicated. You see, being too damn complicated is the very first negative side detractors of the renal diet points out. And I don't think they are entirely wrong, because a diet that's too complicated will reduce adherence or the number of patients that will actually follow it. Now, as I was saying, a solution to this problem that some researchers are proposing is to completely give up the renal diet in exchange for pills, of course. But guys, since I don't work for, AstraZeneca or Pfizer, my solution to this issue is different. I have actually created the diet that's easy enough for the patient to follow, and that actually works because it doesn't involve counting calories. It just involves swapping out foods that are not suitable for keeping your kidneys healthy with those foods that actually protect the kidneys. And the amount of patients that are having success with this innovative approach I developed is staggering. In fact, if you think a diet that does not involve counting calories cannot work as a tool for weight loss or in order to improve your GFR, well, stay tuned.
God had to put you on my feed because I never researched you or anything about kidneys on YouTube. And bam, there you was one day. And I can tell by watching your video, you care. See, that's what's wrong with American doctors. It's hard to find one that cares about their patients.
I will feature an interview with a patient of mine that was able to lose a huge amount of weight and to recover a significant portion of their kidney function with this diet. And I can tell you this, he is not counting his calories. So, if you want proof that ignoring crappy advice can save your kidneys, stay tuned, tap the subscribe button and the notification bell, and don't miss that success story. It's basically a middle finger to outdated medical nonsense. Okay, time for our number 1, the most dangerous lie of them all, the wait-and-see approach. What is the wait-and-see approach? It's when your doctor says, oh, you lost 15 points of GFR in year. Well, let's just wait and see if it gets better. I mean, it's like they expect your kidneys to suddenly decide to turn things around all by themselves. And you know why this is the worst lie? Because that never works. Your kidneys are not going to get better by themselves. On the other hand, if you actually start doing something, you may see a result. Speaking of which, if you want to see what actually happened when a CKD patient takes matters in their own hands, in this video up here, you will be able to watch one of the greatest successes with CKD I have ever witnessed. And this is all for today. Thank you for watching. God bless you all. Bye-bye.